Your logo is large because you are a man of. Oh, hey, there you go. Hey, everybody. Great. I was about to say something you don't want to say on stream. Hey, everybody. So we're live here talking about Building Public with Tom and Trevor, Xray.tech and CrowdTamers. We've been doing some stuff, yo. We've had, I guess, quick review of something we've done. One, we've gone through the second week of our ad cycle for figuring out who our audience is for Summary.legal. That's one thing. We have also prepped and almost ready to launch Classnotes.tech. We have put together and will launch soon Nassr.tech. I don't think that's live yet. You just have the domain.
Minute Master.
That's why I put the S in.
Minute Master.
And beyond that, what else do we have that is... you've got... I assume Tom will talk some about building with no-code tech and how we've had some interesting discussions with leads and clients about kind of where people are feeling about using AI and automations in the work they do. That's kind of my outline for what we're going through today. There's something I should add, Tom.
No, I think there's been a lot of interesting learnings, definitely on the technical side, on the product side, having to work around various limits that are imposed on low and no code tools. We can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And I think we added some amazing new functionality specifically for teams. And teams of people that are using summary legal. So, you have a couple attorneys or a paralegal and an attorney, right? You want to share recordings back and forth to multiple people. And how does team management happen? And that's a pretty big question when you're dealing with a low-coded system. But we're really happy to be able to have implemented that functionality, and we'll get to that.
Sure, we will. And it's worth noting because the way we are building and launching, right? Summary Legal, Class Notes, Minute Master, and whatever we're calling the fourth one, we don't have a name for it yet. They're all powered by the same low-code, no-code backend, which means really as you add a feature anywhere, you're adding these features kind of everywhere. So we will inevitably discover as we're building and adding these features, any given audience won't care about most of them. But that's why we're testing these different arenas to launch in, is one of them will do better than others, for sure. Some of them will do worse than others, and learning where potential money exists is why we're building and launching the way we are. So, do you want to start with some discussion of new features? You want me to talk about what we've learned with Summary Legal's ads? Which way you want to go?
Well, I think I'll start with some feature stuff because I think there's quite a bit to learn there. We change a microphone or something. Hearing a little bit differently.
I muted myself.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You're muted now. Anyway, so one of the key features that we really needed to implement into the system was being able to work with teams, right? It's really useful to be able to upload and transcribe and summarize a recording, but being able to do so in a team context really, really matters. So if you remember, we put all of this, we built this system using Airtable, a front end called Softer, and then on the back end there's a transcription service, and of course OpenAI or various AIs to actually summarize what it is we're trying to do. So when we're constructing a team, there were a couple decisions that we needed to make. So it would be really easy to automatically create a team for everyone with the same domain. Right. So if I'm Tom at Xray.tech, it would be pretty easy to set up basically automatic sharing for everyone who's at Xray.tech. But that's not really a commercially ready feature, right? You can't do that for a giant law firm, right? And Trevor and I are fresh off of a conversation with a top 100 law firm in the country.
Yep.
That we learned some things.
Wow, we did.
Yeah. And so to say that, to automatically create a team based off of the domain is a simple solution, but it's not one that is scalable, really, and not one that we were comfortable with doing, especially in this niche of the product. So what we ended up doing was doing a full invite system. So someone needs to be invited via the email to join the team. They actually need to create an account. They need to log in, and then they have a whole interface to manage and see who's on their team. You can kick people out of your team. You can make them managers so that they can, change permissions for other team members. And we didn't set a limit so far on the number of people that you could add to a team. So if you wanted to have a 100-person team at your 100-person company, you can absolutely do that. From a technical standpoint, the invite mechanism actually relies on the email address, not the domain. So in order to do that, there were quite a few technical hurdles that we needed to overcome inside of Airtable. So it really didn't do much on the front end. But then now that we made that association, we need to make a whole new page, right, on Software to be able to display the fact that there are team members that you now belong to and you have the ability to see. So that team functionality, now that we did it for summary legal, we're going to remix it and use it for class notes, right? And even incorporate that back into the original Xray Systems debrief product for, general purpose meeting, summarizing and transcribing. So, that was a huge piece of the technical lift from the last couple of weeks. Just making sure that team functionality works right. And, if you want to kick somebody, you kick them and they don't have access to anything. Right. And that was a really big piece of where we were focusing the infrastructure from the last couple of weeks. Or I guess since the last time that we talked. And now we're at a position with Summary Legal where I think there's been 15 or 20 different features that we've iterated and launched since we started. Everything from being able to handle larger files. This isn't a 50 megabyte recording. I mean, we can process up to 1.5 gigabytes in a recording. And if you use a handy dandy tool called Handbrake, which is an open source file converter for your media, if you want to compress files, you can get even longer recordings into Summary Legal now. So this was a huge conversation. We had a 3.5 gigabyte file that we were trying to chunk up and process through the system. We put it in Handbrake first to compress it down to 1.4 gigs, and the system was actually able to ingest and use that. So if you're sending the system, if Summary Legal, 4K videos, like that is like arbitrarily, you just don't need to do that. You're muted, Trevor. But
my legal team uses a red camera, apparently.
yeah. So we don't need that. So we're considering ways that we can like integrate even a file compression or like even the removal of the video, because we really don't need the video to do the summary and the transcription. It's just the audio that we really want to pay attention to. So there's some technical weeds, to get into. But I think the more exciting thing for me is, we have successfully launched a number of features that can be perforated throughout the rest of the experiments that we're running. We invent a feature once, launch it 4 times in 4 different products, but also just the clarity of feedback that we just received. I mean, holy smokes, Trevor! like being able to poke and prod inside of one of the top 100 law firms in the U.S. There were a lot of things that I didn't know that I didn't know. And I'm wondering if you feel the same.
Definitely. So part of why when we were talking about, hey, you've got debrief, you kind of pulled it out from an internal tool for Xray clients. How do we make a product out of this? I went, that's interesting. Legal brief, because my father's a lawyer, it made sense. I know some obvious use cases there. And so I'm like, hey, I know enough to maybe start to try and sell this. And one, through the process of learning with our ads, I learned how much I didn't know about how I thought this could be sold. And then also speaking today with this person at this large law firm, I learned more about how much I didn't know about how we should sell. Which, of course, we are, I believe, at this point, coming into our third week of selling in the legal tech space. So,
Mm-hmm.
hey, it's not super shocking that we should learn a whole lot. And it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, where I went at this and went, how hard can it be? I don't know anything about it, so it must be easy. And then at least I'm self-aware enough that I quickly, because it's the chart of how good you think you are at something, and when you know nothing, you think you're pretty good at it, and then your confidence in how good you are drops off a cliff, and then slowly comes back up, right? And so
I
I
love
was
that
on the
graph.
cliff,
Yeah.
and I leapt off, and I'm not quite sure where the bottom is yet, but we're on the way down. Um, so among the things we have learned were so in the legal tech space. Okay, there's weirdly there's two different segments to who a tool like summary.legal is used for. One is the segment I kind of envisioned, which is 1-2 person law firms, right? Very small in corporate litigation. They've got some uh, some need for more bandwidth and would like to not spend much money for it. And this is a way to basically trade off a little bit of computer cycles for some time. Cool. That makes sense. There are some blockers there. One of the big first blockers, and we did confirm this with the person at the law firm we were talking to, is no lawyer who's any good will randomly upload some client videos to just some site. Which, when you think about it, yeah, okay, that makes sense. They have client confidentiality requirements for all the videos they've recorded. They don't know us from a hole in the ground, and all they've heard about us is an ad, right? So they discovered we existed on Facebook, which is also not for most of us our most trusted place for information. So to go from there to a landing page that says, "Hey, free trial, hook up a video and you can see how it works," isn't great. So already here we are after 2 weeks of experimentation, and the in retrospect super obvious need to remove free demo with or free trial with book a demo, right? Hey, talk to a human, understand how this works, see if you trust us, right? Do we seem like sketchy dudes? The guy with the mustache might be a bit much, but Tom seemed pretty dependable. So
Well, that's a huge thing. Like that's a huge learning, though. I mean, I I can't think of a service that I've actually used that I had to book a demo first.
right, me
Right.
either. I hate them.
Right. I can't think of one. So for us, we're very biased in that selling tactic to say, this is how they must want to do it. They must want a free trial and then
Yeah,
sign up, upload a video. And the security concerns I think are understandable,
yeah.
but we're dealing with SOC 2 compliant software and everything else, whatever credential that we need to have, we can slap up there
Mm-hmm.
and be able to,
Well, let's
brag
not
about
say
that.
we
But
can slap up there. That does sound a bit like, I mean, we'll lie, we'll say whatever. No, no, no.
no, no, it
Our,
actually is SOC 2
yeah,
compliant. I mean,
our data backend is quite
yeah,
secure, right? Because
yeah,
you've got Airtable Enterprise, so you've got
yeah.
like it checks off every box. So
hmm
yeah,
but then the HIPAA compliance is a legitimate hurdle, but luckily we're not really dealing with HIPAA related material, at least in the legal discussions that we're dealing with. And if there is a scenario where, hey, we can get 1,000 installs if only it was HIPAA compliant, okay, like we can have that discussion. But
maybe
for a 2 week old product, or a 3 week old
yeah,
product, right? Let's deal with what we have. But
exactly.
hey,
Don't add these features until someone says, "I will pay you up front 50 grand to add it."
hmm
And then you go, "Okay, right, I'll rearrange my roadmap."
hmm
Um,
hmm
so that was, I think, learning that we have to do free demo sales. Like, but okay. Also, yes, that is what 97% of no, that's a lie. 80 something% of sales still happen in face to face interaction, right, offline, or I guess through Zoom, and not having a way for people to do any of that was an oversight. The advantage to how launching this quickly goes, though, is not even a month old, and we already know, the whole idea of product led user acquisition probably not going to work here. Cool. Both of us know, I mean, we both run agencies, which are, you can't demo the product. The product is my brain and your brain. So we know how to do sales led user acquisition. We just kind of hoped this wasn't a product that would require it. But whatever, right? Let's go shift up the how we wish to get people to try the product out and see if that starts some better discussion. That was one. I think learning also that in larger teams, so at the small team, you talk to the lawyer because there's literally nobody else there. At the larger teams, at the 100 largest law firms in North America size team, they have a whole department whose job is just to manage all of the information that they generate, which again, when you think about it, makes sense. A law firm with 300 practicing attorneys is generating, I dare say, terabytes of data every year that needs to be organized and findable and searchable. And, you can go, oh, the client has come back, or this is moved up to a higher court finally. We need to be prepared to talk about this subject again. It's been 2 years. Two of the partners who worked that case have since died of old age, whatever, fine, right? Like something is different. How do we onboard new people? And so a product like what we do has to speak to those people specifically. And I mean, you only ever sell three things, right? You get more time, you get more money, or you're sexier. We don't solve the third one
Well, I mean,
yet.
debatably we do, in the fact that the it's sexier than trolling through hours and hours of video, right? I mean,
Right, but I don't think young associates particularly think, summary.legal will help me hook up tonight. I don't. I mean, I guess it gives them time. Whatever. Let's
yeah,
not go there.
okay, okay.
But save time and saves money are definitely both, and time and money are of course directly linearly related. That is both of those messages for both the department in charge of managing knowledge at these organizations, and then also the people who are the outputs of the data that the knowledge team uses in an organization, selling through to them. So we had a great view of how to get into those orgs, who to talk to, what discussions to have. So all of that was very illuminating to have today, and combined with what we've learned through just the CrowdTamers' usual go-to-market approach of how we need to change up acquisition anyway. I think we've learned a whole bunch about go-to-market that's thoroughly changing the way we want to go at this. And one is at paralegal, legal secretary side, they are actually quite interested. I can do the slide deck review. They are the ones who care most about this problem because they're the ones who stuck with it. But they're not the ones with buying authority in most cases.
I wonder, Trevor, if we're able to if it would be helpful to give the paralegals like a kit to bring us to their knowledge management team. You know what I mean? Like, hey, book us for your knowledge management team, or share this list of whatever, top 5 things that we're able to do for you and your knowledge management team that you might be able to start the conversation. Because it's very clear that we need to have a lot more hands-on approach to the sale. And I'm wondering if we can more directly get knowledge management team members into the conversation sooner.
Maybe. So we definitely that at the larger orgs, I think that is the case. I'm just going to real quick. We'll talk through this. This is my first time sharing slides on OneStream. That seems to work relatively well, except we're both totally covered up. Let me real quick remove the banner. Banner hide. Maybe I'll just give up and not try to.
This is what you get building in public. Is the first time using a service called OneStream. We tried doing our own piecemeal last time. We saw how terrible that worked out.
That was garbage. This is going way better technologically, but there's definitely still some rough edges for me to figure out, including things like don't have the banner over both of our heads. So cool. All right. With that thought in mind, so we'll just talk real briefly about what we ran, what we learned, And it's always worth noting, like the full roadmap for go-to-market the way CrowdTamers does it. There's 18 steps, and we've done 2. So we've got a ways to go. We did 1, which is basically, is everything alive? Can we learn a little bit? And then 2, what are we seeing? And then actually 1A, sorry. And then 2 is, can we hit 1.0 on our click-through rate? Because click-through rate is our proxy for general interest in an offer. It's a terrible metric for later. I have a client I'm talking to right now who our most recent set of ads has a 0.7% click-through rate. And they're like, this is a disaster. I'm like, yeah, but you're paying $8 per sign-up. I don't care anymore what the click-through rate is once I'm moving into signups. And $8 per signup for, I think it's a $70 a month tool, like, cool, right?
Math
CTR
works.
matters at some points and not others. So right now, CTR matters because the whole rest of the funnel isn't there yet. So uh, at the beginning of this journey, and what we did, we have some pretty good first engagement. Obviously, older men are doing this, and also in some cases, some younger people are doing it in the paralegal cohort. And we needed to test in some narrowly defined segments. Okay, so we've got this. This is not general contractors. I'm sorry. This is holder from where the ad was copied from. This was running to. This is in-house counsel and corporate litigation. This was running to paralegals, and these are also running on Facebook, not on LinkedIn. So I needed to fix my header. I'll get it right next week. Um, And what we have here to these 2 different audiences, we see our click-through rate was 1% for our winning ad unit, which was the same one as last time. And then even the worst ad is still doing 0.5% or a little better than. That's not terrible. Our cost per click to mostly lawyers is pretty healthy, right? If we're able to reliably bring lawyers to look at us for about, it's about double this because we were seeing a chunk of the audience weren't lawyers despite some new targeting. But even still, $1.40, $1.50 to bring an actual practicing attorney to your website isn't terrible, right? This is Facebook money. Uh, if we continue to run experiments and really want to dive into like targeting those knowledge workers at a
Knowledge managers.
knowledge manager, sorry, at a legal firm, we will need to probably try LinkedIn. Although I can also look like everybody who's visited the ABA website and has a degree in data science or knowledge library science. Like, I bet you I
Mm-hmm.
could target that and still find some of these people. Can I find at least 500? I don't know, but that's the next test. And then our demographics are heavily in the women for clicks still because in the legal secretary and paralegal side, there's a lot of them. And what we learned here, the social proof did well. Our CPMs and CPCs are both low. I think we're doing pretty well. And what this basically gives us is in our second iteration here, 1A experiment, we have a good model for how we're able to bring people over. We've also found we don't have an acquisition funnel that's working in the middle or bottom of the funnel because people don't want to try the product out. They'd rather, we hypothesize, they'd rather get a demo. So there's 2 things I want to do for our landing page for the next iteration. One of them is live demo. The other is watch the video that you recorded that is a demo of how it works so they can actually understand what the product does before they even book a call with us. I think if we add both of those to the site, we should see engagements up and hopefully we'll see some calls booked for the next experiment. If that all makes
Mm.
sense, you see what I'm doing here, Tom?
I think I do see what you're doing. I wonder about the sign up for a demo or book a demo and whether or not we should send that video or even make that video available directly on the site.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Um,
saying. That should be
you know,
on the homepage.
well, if it's on the homepage, what kind of you know, um, I guess incentives are there to book a demo, right? Because like you saw the demo, so
Well,
what is there to show?
several reasons. One of them is just I want to be sold to how I expect it to be sold to. 2,
Hmm.
uh, anybody can make stuff happen with movie magic, right? How realistic is this demo? It is very clearly not one take unedited. because we're chopping up, reorganizing it a bit for the clarity of
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
And if I were a lawyer, I would, or any lead, I suppose. What I want to know is, for my very specific use case, do you solve my problem? The demo
Mhm.
shows me what you do, how it functions. But to
Mhm.
go from there to, I mean, relevant historical experience I have when I was CMO at Unito, right? What we did was we synchronized tasks between two boards. We had videos showing how it worked. Still, almost everybody would say, okay, but can you solve my problem?
Mhm.
Right? Here's how I want the workflow to be. And the answer
Yeah.
would usually be yes, and occasionally be, I've never heard that before. You're insane. But the need to have somebody tell me, yes, I will fix this for you, is prevalent in enterprise or even medium sized business sales.
Yeah.
So
I think that's fair. I think that's really fair. You know, we are looking at this stuff through the Facebook ads lens, right? It's we haven't done any experiments on LinkedIn yet, or any experiments
oh.
on Twitter or TikTok or any of the other things. Maybe I should just make a TikTok video and just say, "Hey, legal professionals, stop
Yeah,
wasting your time."
TikTok.
But
So TikTok will tend to get you the paralegal persona more than the law firm partner
hmm
slash small law
hmm
firm owner persona. I do think LinkedIn is worth testing, but with the budget we had to assign to each of these launchers, because we're putting 1K behind these launchers to start, right? On LinkedIn, that's
it's gonna get you a
probably,
quarter as far.
yeah, 100 clicks maybe, like maybe 100 clicks for 1K. I wouldn't be shocked. So at that point, you're like, I don't want to only get 100 clicks. I don't have enough data to make a good conclusion. On Facebook, less than $1 per click, right? We've gotten 1,000+ data points. So that's enough to really know, oh, not that we didn't have enough people come to the landing page who might want to sign up. It's that nobody wants to sign up. And that, like, just that data there is valuable and is not known. Because if you have a 1% sign up rate on a landing page, which is not unusual for a new page, I send 100 clicks your way. There is an 80% chance that I won't find a 1% sign up on 100 clicks, right? So, like, oops, is my page
hmm
suck, or did my random number generator, was it mad at me today? Like,
hmm
we don't know. So again, we build this up, we work more on this, we can start testing other channels as we start to find something that has legs. Alrighty. We also have, and I can share real quick.
You
Uh,
probably read my mind. I was right about to go to the next experiment here, right?
hey, this one. Wait, this one. Hey,
That's
there
the
we go.
one. That's
All
the
right,
one. The TLDR for every lecture.
because we're hip and cool. I feel like what is it? Gary Busey, Gary Sinise. Hello, fellow kids with the skateboard. Um, I
The
feel
only
very
Gary I
much.
know is Vaynerchuk.
So we've got this page live. This was built in Softer. These are all built in Softer. This one was built directly by my graphic designer, because one of his OKRs for Q2 is, instead of building in Figma and then paying someone else to make a web page out of it, learn to build in some software. And software was so easy that he was like, honestly, it's limited, right? You can only do certain
Yeah,
layouts.
yeah.
But this was,
Very, very limited. Yeah.
he had, I think his onboarding time to learn to use the tool was maybe 30 minutes. So we're talking about building in public. We're talking about no code. Like, Webflow is cool. I like Webflow well enough. Apparently, I need to not have my Slack channel pop up in the middle of a call. I'll turn on Do Not Disturb real quick.
No
That's
problem.
what,
But
here.
that's really the strength of software, though, is the fact
Yeah,
that, like, it is just incredibly simple for anyone to pick up.
yeah,
And yes, there are a lot of technical limitations. They're clawing those back a little bit, but the whole point is that you can put an interface on top of any Airtable database
yeah.
that it enables actual user sign up and engagement, and that's just great to hear that your designer is able to edit directly in
Yeah,
there, because it's like it's just such a pain to turn that into an assembly line.
yeah. And I'm right now. Tom and I were talking a little earlier. I've got a theoretically professional dev who was building me a Webflow page and just screwed it up by the numbers. Like it was a train wreck. And uh, I'm not sure you could screw up a software page to that same degree just because the tool is simpler. But it means if you are not yourself a front end designer who feels super comfortable, like hop into software, you can have something ready and away you go. And it looks like
Yeah.
a software website because they have kind of a look, but it is you. It's like if you know the rules and behavior behind how to behave at a dinner party, you might not ever delight anybody with how good your manners are, but at least you won't offend them either. This is kind of the same thing. A softer website may not delight, but it will not offend. And when you're launching something that you put together as quickly as we put together all this stuff for these tests, I would take quite happily. Do not offend over delight. So this is live, and we also have, but not yet. Is Minute Master actually live as well?
The domain is. I haven't checked it.
Okay. So I doubt this is probably just parked.
Was it minutemaster.tech or minutemaster.com? I'm
I
not
don't even know,
sure.
man. I'm pretty sure it's .tech.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's probably .tech because we bought it on Namecheap.
Yeah. This is for sale. Look, just 20. That's right. I remember we said it was just $2,500, and we went no. So it's not live yet. This will be where we have for nonprofits and corporate boards. Get your board meetings done, and then we'll have an as yet unnamed one for webinars and podcasts. So with all those launched, we'll be putting
Send your
some.
ideas in. Send
Yeah,
them in. What do you think we should name
what should we name?
the summary and transcription podcast service that will be launched circa, I don't know, 19 days.
Somewhere around there. Yeah, we've been hitting
Something like
not
that.
not quite 2 weeks in between each launch. Um, we probably could go faster. I mean, we certainly could go faster if we needed to, but we both have uh, allegedly we have jobs that pay us.
Day jobs or something, and like customers
Yeah,
that pay us money to do things.
yeah, yeah. So we're
Yeah.
not quite doing one a week. But my original tempo was a little too optimistic, particularly because I'm doing a lot of the work on the launching, and my time is I end up doing a million other things like remaking Webflow websites that my freelance contractors screwed up. So, whatever.
The
Even still,
the
launching every other week is not a trivial accomplishment either.
Well, it's launching every other week and adding new features, right?
And adding
It's
new features.
that's the friction there. It's like, well, all of these things would get a lot better if we could add teams. All of these things would be a lot better if we up the file limit size. Like,
Yeah.
so it's in anything that you're building, especially MVP style. You just got to get it working, then you make it right, and then you make it fast, right? And a incredible dev out of Portugal taught me that. And it's just, you have to make it work first, and then you make it right, and then you make it fast. And I think in the way that we've gone about productizing and prototyping all the various features inside of Summary Legal, we very much so took that approach, right? It works, but it's janky, and then it's right, but it's slow, and now it's really pretty good.
And it's worth, like, if you review the speed at which, and again, everyone working on this project has daytime jobs that pay them, and then they're doing this too, right? So, like, launched with rather like Notion launched back in the days, no login password, but rather tell me you want to connect, and I will email you a code which you then put in, right? Like super janky, awkward login system. No teams, relatively couldn't handle large file sizes, would hallucinate wildly on long pauses also, and would just make up things that were said in long pauses in a recording. And all of that fixed, teams in place, OAuth connected.
Yeah, Google. We just added the Google OAuth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Having a new file size limit, automating, compressing, and working on like all of this crazy ludicrous speed to work on when you also have 8 active clients, or however many I don't even know, active clients you're servicing for at the same time as well.
Yeah.
So again, you're building, you right here watching, listening now, or in the indefinite future, and you're like, I'm a real developer. I don't need that no code garbage. Well, okay, but the ability to ship this fast on infrastructure that's dependable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is summary legal going to go down? I don't know. Is Airtable ever going to go down? That seems pretty unlikely.
Mm-hmm.
So having and didn't have to worry about, did we configure Redmine storage correctly? Is someone going to get access into our S3 buckets? Like, no, that's Airtable's problem. You
Mm-hmm.
just built something that uses that infrastructure. All of that is crazy. And then launching as well. And like we launched Summary Legal and then we walked away. We're
Mm-hmm.
continuing to iterate and experiment and launch on that in terms of how we're talking to people, who we're trying to onboard, the features that we're offering, the way we approach this, and we'll be doing it for the other three as well. It gets to be tremendously complex. We have the advantage of we all have teams we can rely on for some of this
Yeah.
delivery, but also anybody listening, right? This is a model for you've got a business that you want to succeed. Test it, build it real fast, as Tom mentioned, build
Mm-hmm.
it right, add features, but also launch and launch and launch and launch and figure out who really wants what you're doing.
The one thing that you said there, Trevor, that I just want to poke at a little bit is the "Hey, real developer" thing, right? Because I think this is actually a really important point.
Uh,
Is like, if you are a real developer, you went to
real,
school for
yes,
computer science, the hard sciences. Um, no one, your user isn't really going to care how elegantly you created a button that moves data, right?
yeah,
And that's really not the core of your value as a developer, right? Because you could write some fancy lines of code that could move data to go from one place to the other. Like it's just an ends to the or a means to the end, right? You need the user to be able to do this particular functionality. What Airtable and Software and other low or no code tools do is let you just come in with a scalpel because you actually understand how to use the scalpel, right? Also known as code. You can come in and like we had, one of our engineers came in, added, I don't know, 50 lines of JavaScript and CSS and totally changed the way
yeah,
that the interface actually looks, and you can click on these recordings now and it scrubs to the right portion of the video, and like everything sort of looks a little bit different. You hover over it and it makes it changes the color when you hover over it. That's the code inside of this system.
right,
Right? Like that's the little bit of polish that makes it look like it's a product that you built from scratch. When
yeah,
really it's, a Frankenstein thing that now has a fresh coat of paint that looks
yeah,
and works really, really, really well. And, why spend half your day or half your week working on a subroutine or working on a
yeah.
really complicated script? You just don't need to anymore.
I mean, at some point at scale, right, a
Yeah.
startup begins to need that optimization. It begins to need everything to be more efficient and faster. But to be able to go at this pace is crazy. I would also know. I said real devs, right? I would never question that Mark was a real dev, whether or not he's ever written a live code in his life, a line of code in his life, because he had a technical problem, he
Hmm.
put together solutions
Hmm.
that made a software exist that didn't exist before, and you might argue, did he do what everybody else does, which is go to Stack Overflow and copy
Yeah.
someone else's
Copy and
code,
paste. Yeah.
or did he just use no code tools to build it instead? Either way, like his understanding of deeply understanding the problem and delivering software to fix it, that's a developer.
Hmm.
Whether or not he wrote any actual JavaScript or CSS or PHP or Rust or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and all of this is relative too, right? Like, I wouldn't consider myself a developer because I know where developers can go, right? And how
Yeah,
how technically skilled, some developers are. But at the same time, put 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 someone who's totally new to the no code and low code or whatever, and who has never, inspected the element of their web page. I'm certainly more of a developer than them.
right,
And
right,
so all of this is relative, and all these tools just really become a gradient of technical expertise, and you can really get in at whatever point and be able to do something. And the point is that you can try and actually make progress. You learn something, you bang into a wall, you turn, and you do it again. Like
Yeah.
that's the only thing. That's the only thing we have, Trevor, is a little bit of persistence. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. All right. So that's the what are we doing? So next week we are launching Class Notes. It is live. We have I just saw Mark asking for some high res logos for emails. Cool. We'll get that sent your way. All the ad accounts are hooked up. We're ready to start testing that. That's kind of a better place to go on Facebook anyway, right, students? Well,
Mhm.
Instagram, right? I know Facebook is where old people go to die, but Instagram at least has the youths, and then we can also test somewhere we can test something on TikTok where more students are. Um, we can also advertise in WhatsApp through Meta, which is also a youthier place to be. So
Well,
we'll
the
be seeing if we
international
can.
scene is interesting
Yeah,
here, and we very briefly touched on that, if at all. Sort of the applicability of summary legal into the international market, and everywhere around the world has a different appetite for these types of things. And when you hit an underserved community around the world with a piece of adoptable tech, things can get interesting.
yeah. And so we have not yet tested that. No, I do. I imagine we'll be able to get students to sign up more easily than lawyers, right? Knock on wood.
I hope
And
so.
and if so, we should start to see some users. If we start to see some users, and of course they are exposed to, hey, it's like what is it, 18 languages this thing works in?
Oh, at
Uh,
least, yeah. Crazy. I couldn't even. I don't know. There's a lot of languages that it works in. That's
then
for sure.
that in the in those communities may well start to filter its way through their networks of, hey, I've got this lecture in Mandarin, whatever, right? I can get a
Hmm.
summary delivered then too. So yeah, all right. That was my list of what to go through. Um, I guess, one other thing, if I've got a few minutes, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we have. I want to find the right tab here to talk about what we're doing, and this is uh, Xray ad design. Here we go. So the other thing, right, part of building in public. So we showed a bit of what we have run previously. Let me load for what we're doing with class notes. We can share this as well, and we'll see which ones work. You can pick out your favorite ad, Tom, and we'll see if it works well or not. I'm almost always wrong with what ad is going to do best. And we don't, like, there's so many ads now, we don't have an internal channel we'll bet on the winning ads anymore because we're doing, I mean, we have 9 active, well, with Xray, actually, we're going to have 12 active clients running experiments for. And it's if every week we're launching one ad client, it's just too much going on. But we have uh, here's our ads for class
Mm.
notes, and so when you look at these ads, and this is worth, like, paying attention to as a um, somebody who wants to launch your own product. One is, of course, we have the landing page, and we are echoing that page in most of these ad units, although on some of them we're testing a different look and feel. When you're making display ads like this, the image is about 60% of the reason why someone's going to click. And so what you then, beyond that, you have the text, which makes up about 20%, and then the targeting makes up your remaining 20%. If you've got a great ad, you'll get clicks, even if it's to the wrong people, but you won't get any conversions once they come. So we're
Mm.
testing several different appeals, right? One is logical appeal. You can see we're calling this Logic 1080, right? We're testing emotional appeals, tears and sweat, tired, confused, inspired, like emotional language. Then we're testing social proof, which in this case we don't have any because no one's ever used this. But absent social proof, hundreds of students who've improved their language class notes. Is that strictly true? Probably not. Um, I may rewrite that too. Improve their learning with automated notes because that is true. Uh, sometimes we write a little too ambitiously. I don't like to say things that aren't true, but I will say things that are truthy. So these ads then running, right, testing bright colors, pop out against Facebook's UI, and then we have ad text we've also associated with all these ads to run as well. That core idea, right, is really, so Facebook has 3 different size ad units, so this is the same thing 3 times each vertical level. We have put together, and anybody who's listening to this can get, what is it? It is ad templates. Yeah, this one. We put together all of the best winning ad designs from the last 2 years, ones that are all doing top 2% of Facebook ad units. And so if you're like, hey, I can't design cool ads that look like this, I can't. There's a reason why I have a designer who does. We've got them all put together. This is free. Just go to CrowdTamers, download it. So if you want to start making cool ads that do well,
Wow.
right, here we go. This is the $11 million Facebook ad pack. Each of these ads was the top of a $1 million ad funnel. So free for you. If you want to go to CrowdTamers.com and get it right now, go ahead. This will remain free for probably the duration of time this recording is accessible anyway. But I can't give you all the right pieces to build a really cool no-code app, because that's hard. But I can give you the right pieces to try and launch and promote it. Go to CrowdTamers and grab this now.
You make me want to run ads, Trevor. I mean, I haven't ever run an ad.
Well, that's all right. It's I won't say it's easy. It is learnable. It is simple.
When you've done it 1,000 times, I mean,
we've done it 1,000 times. It is simple. It is repeatable. It is learnable. And part of what makes me so excited about this launch with you is how launching all of these different, identical but differently positioned products is going to reveal so much about how go-to-market experimentations and choices make a difference. Cool. All right. That does wrap up. We've got 2 minutes left. Any last deep thoughts, Tom?
I was just going to say my pick for the ad was actually the second one.
Oh, I forgot to. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was number 2. So
number 2.
In from the left.
The red one. Yeah, the red one would probably be my guess too, which means we're probably both wrong. Because I'm usually wrong with these. We'll find out. We're going to run it this week, and we can talk in 2 weeks when we come back again.
Yeah.
We'll have reviews on this on the next round of summary legal ads, and we should be ready to launch Minute Master, and we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, we've got a full hour to talk in 2 weeks.
Well, I'll talk about next 2 weeks. All right, Tom, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it, as always. Any listeners, appreciate it as well. I didn't see any questions pop up on any of our channels. If I've missed you, I'll catch you on a comment instead. Thanks, everyone, so much.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.